All right, shalom, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Racha Kodesh. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And yeah, I brought out the whiteboard again. Through the Spirit, I wanted to go into this lesson. Hopefully, the position is good. But the title is the God of the Bible actually evil? And this is a title that's gonna basically encapsulate a couple of different topics in this lesson. So that's why I gave it this title. So Lord willing, it'll be an edifying lesson. Now, this is dealing more so with something called the problem of evil, right? So what is the problem of evil? In the context of the lesson that we're gonna cover, you have people that say, I don't believe in God, or I don't believe in yada yada yada, because if there was a God, why is there so much evil going on in the world, right? If there was a God, it's like right? So if there was a God, why is there so much evil going on in the world? And if there was a God, why is he not stopping it? Why? And then I'll give you a particular example. Say you had a baby, right? There've been instances and stories where you have maybe like a 3-year-old child, and they're crossing the street with their parent, and then they get hit in the head with a stray bullet, right? They get hit in the head with a stray bullet, and then they say, the child dies, 3-year-old dies, or whatever the case is. Now, somebody might look at that and say, well, if God controls everything, then why did he not stop the bullet? Why did he allow the bullet to hit the 3-year-old? And then we might say, well, that's judgment. But then they might turn around and say, so it's okay for a bullet to hit a 3-year-old. What kind of judgment is that? What could a 3-year-old have possibly done, to garner them being hit by a stray bullet, if the Most High did send that judgment upon them? So that's what we're going to deal with today. And I want to start off with the book of Ezekiel. Hold on a second. And in this context, we're going to deal with reincarnation, and we're also going to deal with the subject of hell. Because reincarnation and hell, they go in tandem. Meaning, in the sense that you can't have both. If reincarnation exists, you can't have hell. And if hell exists, you cannot have reincarnation. That's just the way it works. All right? And, you have, especially today, people hear reincarnation and they immediately think of like Hinduism or some mystic foreign concept, and that, so when they think of reincarnation, they get it twisted, and because of that, they think we're talking about some crazy ass wild, oh, they said they spiritual, now they reincarnating, and they think of you coming back as a tree, or you coming back as like a cow or something like that. But that's not how reincarnation works. So we're going to start off with the book of, let me actually place this right here. The book of Ezekiel chapter 18 verse 20. And it says, the soul that sinneth, it shall die. The son shall not bear the iniquity of the father, neither shall the father bear the iniquity of the son. Right? The righteousness of the righteous shall be upon him, and the wickedness of the wicked shall be upon him. So what does that mean? Well, if let's say you got the father, and that was Ezekiel 18 and 20. And pardon the handwriting, because if I'm writing fast, hopefully just let me know if you can see. If not, then I'm gonna have to write that a little bigger. So just let me know if you brothers and sisters can see the writing, if it's big enough or if I need to make it bigger. That word should say father. If it doesn't, just let me know. But yeah, pardon the handwriting, because if I'm writing a little fast, I'll try to keep it as legible as possible. But so you have your father and you have your son, right? Just write it nice and big here. So you have your father and you have your son. According to Ezekiel 18 and 20, if the father goes off, he does something wicked, right? I don't know. He does something wicked. And the son, you know, he's all right. He ain't do nothing wicked. When the time of judgment comes, okay, Khan, got you. Let me just write that. There we go. So you got your father and you got your son. Say the father was a wicked individual, right? This guy is wicked as hell. I'll give you an example like Saul. Say Saul, right? So this guy's a wicked individual and he does all this wickedness, right? He's doing all this wickedness. According to Ezekiel 18 and 20, this man's wickedness, his son is not going to have to pay for that. That means that if he goes off, he's going to have to pay for, you know, whatever actions or wickedness he's done. But in that case, what happens when the father dies without paying for the iniquity that he committed? Right? And say in the sense that the death that came upon him wasn't the set judgment for what he has to go through. Then that means that, does that mean that this father escaped judgment? Because think about it, right? Say this man was a wicked individual. He committed murder, right? Murder. He committed murder. He committed adultery, right? Many other things. He was a thief, right? But this guy dies in his sleep. You know, he grows old. He grows old, whatever he wants, he grows old. One day he's laying in his bed and he passes away in his sleep. That's it. Nice, quote unquote, peaceful death. At an old age, he dies of old age. Does that mean that this individual, with all the wicked acts that he's done, and we know the scriptures say, I'm going to read it again, Ezekiel 18 and 20, the soul that sinneth, it shall die. The son shall not bear the iniquity of the father, right? Neither shall the father bear the iniquity of the son. It says, the righteousness of the righteous shall be upon him, and what? The wickedness of the wicked shall be upon him. So if this guy died in his sleep, does that mean that he escapes judgment? No. But this is where understanding needs to come into the picture. In order for you to understand, well, what happens to this guy? Because how do we know that he does not escape judgment? Well, let's get a quick precept. Hold on one second. And I believe this is Sirach. Let's see. Escape unpunished. All right. Okay. There we go. So this is the book of Ecclesiasticus, or the book of Sirach, chapter 16, verse 11. And it says, if there be one stiff-necked among the people, it is marvel if he escape unpunished. It is marvel if he escaped unpunished, for mercy and wrath are with him. He is mighty to forgive and to pour out displeasure. And that's talking about the Most High, right? So if it's saying here that basically nobody's going to escape judgment. So how is it that this man fell asleep? He died in his sleep and nothing happened to him. Well, what's going to happen? In the reincarnation, this is where you need to have that understanding. What's going to happen is this guy's going to come back 3 to 4 generations later. All right, so let's do 3/4 generations. 3 to 4 generations later, through his son, grandson, whatever the case may be, he's going to come back on the earth as a baby, you know? Crying and shit. He's going to come back on the earth as a baby, right? But remember, the thing about it, this is where we need to, break down what it is, because people think, there's some people that think that when you die, like you are your body, and when you die, that's it. It's like you just disappear, you don't exist anymore. But according to the scriptures, we know that the human, like us being on the earth, we consist of your spirit and then your body. Okay, so you got your spirit. I'm just going to draw it as like something like this, right? So let's call this the spirit. And then you have the body. And we would draw. There we go. Boom. So we consist of the spirit and the body, right? And through the act of sexual intercourse, this is made. Right, you have the semen, hits, merges with the egg, they form the zygote, and then, you know, the little shrimp looking thing over nine months forms into a body, right? That's when this is made. The spirit enters the body, and now you have the individual. When you die, what happens is this separation, right? When you die, your spirit leaves the body. That's why the body, when you see a dead body, there's no spirit in it. So it's just there. It's just inanimate. Okay? Like a car. If a car doesn't have a driver in it, it's just there. The car only moves when the driver's in it, just like the body is animated when the spirit is in it. Okay? So we are really just spirits in bodies. And that's one of the prerequisites or the base things you need to understand in order to understand how the spirit works, how reincarnation, how all of these things come together. All right? So this individual, remember, he was the father. 3 to 4 generations later, he comes back on the earth in a different body. That's right. Shalom, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai Barakatah. Wa Barakatam to you all. Stay in the spirit 144. Body from the word abode, meaning house. There you go. So this houses our spirit while it's on the earth. Okay? So he comes back. Now it's the same spirit, just a different body. The Most High doesn't look at your body. He doesn't care about your body. All right? He's looking at your spirit. So this guy to the Most High is the same as this guy. All right? Same dude is the same spirit. So this guy comes on the earth, and let's say he's like 2 years old and he gets ran over by a car. His head just gets flattened over by a car or something like that, and he dies. Then we come right back to where we started again with the little kid that got shot in the head. So now we're saying, okay, there's a 2-year-old you might see on the news. There's a 2-year-old that got ran over by a car. You know, and they suffered a little bit before they died. Now you saying that, damn, oh my gosh, God, why? You know what I'm saying? Like, why would you let something like this happen? That was a little baby. Well, what could a baby possibly have done to garner, to get them ran over by a car? Man, there's so much evil in the world. The Most High, you know, then they turn, I don't believe in the Most High because that happened. No, God is evil because he let a 2-year-old get ran over by a car. But hold on a second. You see him as a 2-year-old, but the Most High knows who he was in his past life. So remember, he committed adultery, right? He committed murder, and yet he died in his sleep, a quote-unquote peaceful death. Did you think that that was it? We just read in the book of Sirach that nobody escapes unpunished. So did you think that just because he died, that's it? No. That same spirit came back. Now, what I'm going to do is go through the scriptures and basically cover what's that interval between when you die and when you're back on the earth. What is that interval in between? What goes on right when somebody dies? Take the example, somebody gets shot, boom, point blank, they're dead, they're on the floor, they're done. What happens then? All right, and that's something that is the world doesn't teach you that because there's so many different philosophies on that people don't actually understand. How does that cycle actually work? All right. This is Stay in the Spirit 144. 1 Samuel 16:7. But the Lord said unto Samuel, look not on his countenance or on the height of his stature, because I have refused him. For the and see, the Lord is here. He's talking about Saul. He's talking to Samuel about Saul, right? He says, for I have refused him, for the Lord seeth not as man seeth. For the man looketh on the outward appearance, but the Lord looketh on the heart. Okay, and that's what's within. All right, so that's a very, very beautiful precept, the water. So the Most High sees this spirit. Within this spirit, you know what's contained in there? I'm going to put A for adultery, M for murder, T for theft. Okay, and maybe a W for wickedness. In his spirit, guess what? You have these things that are in there because he's a wicked, individual. That's in his spirit. So guess what? No matter what body he comes in, he's going to exhibit the same characteristics because that's just how wicked he is. And that's why the scriptures say that the spirits of the prophets are subject to the prophets, right? I'm going to erase this and just deal with that example real quick and then, hit the next precept. So you got a prophet, right? Once again, let's say this is the spirit. And we'll just, So we say this is the spirit, right? For example, or maybe I should draw it like as a fire. But anyway, you go with this. If you're dealing with a prophet is going to prophesy, right? A prophet is going to prophesy, you know, if he's a man of the Lord, right? We're just going to put righteous, you know, righteous, meek, you know, so on and so forth. Those that are of the elect, it's already in their spirit. All right, it's already in their spirit to be like that. So now, this spirit comes on the earth, first generation, right? I'm just going to draw stick figures now. So the spirit comes on the earth. This is a prophet, right? Or the spirit of an elect, or the spirit of a prophet. He comes on the earth in the first generation, right? Whatever, I don't know, 1800s, right? He comes on the earth. Now, maybe this guy's name is Michael or Mike. This is Mike. Mike, he's going to start as a baby. He's going to grow up. And Mike is going to do whatever he's going to do. But what you're going to notice is Mike, if we in the, you know, let's say Mike was born in this time, he's going to be prophesying. If Mike was born in the time of Yahushua, he's going to be prophesying. Why is that? Because in his spirit, he has to prophesy by nature. Okay? He's righteous by nature and he's meek by nature. So Mike dies. Then the spirit goes to the spirit world. 3 to 4 generations later, the same spirit comes back on the earth in a new body. Now, his parents called him John. Right? Here's where people get confused. They look at John, they look at Mike, they say, hold on a second. How? These are 2 different people. But now I'm going to ask y'all, are these 2 different people? Is John, and I'm talking spiritually overall, John and Mike, are they the same person or are they 2 different people? John and Mike. 2 different people or the same person? That's a question for y'all. Same person, all right? That's right. Bayan Yasharallah, same person. Okay? And why is that? Because it's the same spirit coming back. So you know what's going to happen? See, John is going to resemble Mike. Because John, if he's in a time of prophecy, John is going to prophesy. John is going to be righteous. John is going to be meek. Okay? Why is that? It's the same spirit. The body doesn't necessarily hold those spiritual characteristics. That's really embedded inside of your spirit. That's why the scriptures say the spirit of the prophets are subject to the prophets. That's right. Same person, just different bodies. Okay? So when it says you're going to come back in your lot, meaning if your lot is to prophesy, you're going to come back and you're going to do that over and over and over again. It doesn't matter if you come back here in another body. Maybe this time you come back as James. And your parents call you James. Guess what? All these 3 bodies, now in the history books, we're going to know that there was a man called Mike that existed in the 1800s. Right? And then maybe I just put 1900s. And then 2000. Now we're going to know in the history books that there was a man by the name of John who was living in the 1900s. We also going to know there was a man by the name of James living in the 2000s. Okay? So people think, well, Mike existed, John existed, James existed. How are they the same person? There we go. That's it. Thank you, brother. All right? Like Elijah, John, and Elder Abba Bivens. It's the same spirit coming back 3 to 4 generations in different bodies. That's how reincarnation works. Now, notice Mike, John, James, they're all what? They're all males. Because this spirit, you have a masculine spirit and you have a feminine spirit. This spirit of a man ain't going to come back. This spirit is never going to come back as a woman. Okay? That's confusion. The spirit of a man is going to be within a man. It's going the body that the Most High is going to make sure the body you come in is going to be, that of a man. Because that's just, you ain't going to come as an animal. Okay? Because your spirit is not designed to be in the body of an animal. But now that we understand that, let's go into some of the rest of the precepts on here. So I just leave this part up for now. But the next precept is Ecclesiastes chapter 12, Let's see. All right. This is the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 12, verse 7. It says here, and this is King Solomon, and he's, basically is a compilation of like wise sayings and different experiences that he had while he was on the earth with all the wisdom that he had. And it says here, Ecclesiastes 12 and 7, then shall the dust return to the earth as it was, and the spirit shall return unto the Most High who gave it. What does that mean? Then shall the dust return to the earth as it was. The dust is talking about your body. And how do we prove that? Well, let's go to the book of Genesis. Bara Ashiath, in the beginning of Genesis chapter 3, verse 19. Genesis 3 and 19 says, in the sweat. Now, this is basically the Most High casting judgment, you could say, on Adam and everybody else. But this part, verse 19, is dealing more so with Adam. So Genesis chapter 3, verse 19 says, in the sweat of thy face thou shalt eat bread, till thou return unto the ground. So when you return to something, that means you were there to begin, right? If you started here at point A, and you end up at point B, if you return, that means you're going back. You can't return somewhere you never left. All right, this is to go and this is to return. When you on a computer, right, and then you see these two arrow keys, right? When you click this, it takes you where? Back. When you click this, it takes you forward. If you click this, then you click this, you're going to return. All right, that's what return is. Sometimes you got to be a little explicit, right? So the scripture said in Genesis, the Lord's telling Adam that you're going to basically, you're going to eat bread, right, in the sweat of your face until you return to the ground. For out of the ground was thou taken, for what? For dust thou art, and unto dust shalt thou return. All right, so when he dies, when you die, you return back to the dust, which is the earth. So back in Ecclesiastes 7 and Slakia 12 and 7, it says, then shall the dust. See? So what's dust? Dust is the body, because that's what the Lord told Adam. He said, dust thou art, and unto dust shalt thou return. And where did we come from? We come from the earth. So when we die, where do we go back to? We go back to the earth. That's our body. All right, back in Ecclesiastes 12 and 7, then shall the dust return to the earth. When is that? Okay, when is that? It's you just wake up one random day and you just jump onto the earth and just return into the earth? No. When you die, that's when your body, it's called burial. When you bury somebody, that's the point where the dust is returning back to the ground, is returning back to the earth. And that's why you're supposed to bury people inside the earth. And then there's a process called decomposing, where your body gets broken down, and then it basically breaks down back into the earth. Now, that's your body. But like we mentioned earlier, you're made up of your spirit and your body. So we know what happens to the body, because where's the body formed? The body's formed on the earth. So when you die, your body here is broken down into the earth. But what happens to your spirit? Let's keep going. Ecclesiastes 7 and, hold on. Where we at? Ecclesiastes 7 and 12 and 7. Right? So we'll use this space right here. So you pretty much, let's say you got the spirit world up here. Right? Spirit world. Right? And then here you got the earth. The earth. Cool. Now, when you die, say this person here is dead. I don't draw it this way. This guy's dead. What's going to happen is his spirit is going to go one way, but his body is going to go another way. All right, this is a visual depiction of Ecclesiastes 12 and 7. When he dies, his body goes down here, the spirit goes up here. That's what it's saying here. It says, then shall the dust return to the earth all right, as it was, and the spirit returned unto the Most High who gave it. So where's the Most High at? He's in the heavens. He's in the spirit world. So that's where your spirit is going to go back to. Okay. Now I'm gonna put this in a scenario example, right? You got this guy. This guy, he's a gang banger, gang dealer, whatever. He likes to get into those kinds of things. So one day, he's going his way, and something happens, and he gets his brains blown out. That's supposed to be like blood or something. And there's a bullet that hit him in the head from a gun. Boom. That's being shot by this guy. All right. Boom. So, right. So here you go. So this guy, now he's living his regular life, right? He's going about his day. He's doing whatever he's doing. The Most High sends judgment on him. He gets shot in the head. He's getting into gang activities. So he gets shot in the head and he dies. Why does he die? Well, let me give you an example. Like the elder Itazwan put the priest, he made the point going into the body, basically meaning an abode, like a house. So now what happens when your house burns down, or if there's a flood? What do? You run out your house. Why don't you stay in your house when your house burns down? Or if there's a flood that's flooding your house, why don't you stay in the house? Because you can't, the house is uninhabitable anymore. You can't dwell in the house anymore. Well, that's the same thing here. The spirit can't stay in this body anymore because the body is uninhabitable. The second you get hit in a vital organ, or your body gets damaged beyond repair, and they tell you you're gonna die, death simply means that the spirit is gonna get separated from the body. That's all it is. All right, and if that's death, then life would have to mean what? The union of the spirit and the body. Because really, when does life really come about? When you have the man and the woman, they get together, and then they do what they got to do. Then the spirit comes into that body, and then when you die is when the spirit has to leave the body. So life, your spirit moves in. Death, your spirit moves out. Goes back to the spirit world. So his body is not. The spirit can't dwell in here anymore. So the second this happens, and then the body is beyond repair, you'll see he might bleed out, then flatline, whatever. Then his spirit goes away. Whoo, I can't stay here no more. So it goes back to the spirit world. All right. Yep. This is Luke, stay in the spirit 144, Luke 23 and 43. And Yahushua said unto him, verily, meaning truly, I say unto thee, today thou shalt be with me in paradise. So where is that talking about? Verse 46, it says, and when Yahushua had cried with a loud voice, he said, Father, into thy hands I commend my spirit. Whoa, hold up. But wait, he was supposed to be in hell for 3 days. So where is the Most High? Most High is in the spirit world. What does he mean he commends his spirit? But he's supposed to be going down, isn't he? It says here, into thy hands I commend my spirit. And having said this, he gave up the ghost. There's a reason he gave up the ghost. Because his spirit, Yahushua's spirit went up. But his body was put in the earth. All right, or in the tomb, in the sepulcher. Okay? Yep, that happens too. But that's okay. All right? So anyway, now we dealt with Ecclesiastes 12 and 7. When you are alive, we see what happens. We know what your body is made of. When you die, we see an instance in which you die, and what happens? Why is it that this guy can't move anymore? Because his spirit had to leave. His body is no more. It's like you ran out your house because it was burning down. You can't go there anymore. Your house ain't there no more. Right? So now you go to the spirit world. And let's go to our next precept that's going to explain to us, what does that look like? What happens when you go to the spirit world? Well, there's a reason you have this term. Once again, let me just go ahead and erase this part. All right. So you have this term called R.I.P. And they say rest in peace. Right? And there's a reason why this term has some truth to it. Rest in peace. Because as we're about to read here in the book of Job, when you die, you actually do rest in peace. All right, in the sense that in the spirit world, you're not going through the labors and the toils and the pain and, you know, those things that you go through here on earth. Okay, so let's prove that. This is the book of Job. All right, chapter 3. Now we know Job, as the scripture said, he was a man he was an upright man, and he escheweth evil. So he was like a man that was striving for perfection. And the Most High, you know, through a bet that he had with Satan, you know, had it to where Job was plagued and so on and so forth. And in the sorrow and the bitterness of his spirit, he basically said all these things that we're about to read. So here in Job chapter 3, verse 1, it says, after this, matter of fact, let me actually start up Job 2 and 13. It says, so they sat down with him upon the ground, the ground 7 days and 7 nights, and none spake a word unto him, for they saw that his grief was very great. Verse 3, after this opened Job his mouth, and cursed his day. And Job spake and said, let the day perish wherein I was born, and the night in which and in the night in which it was said, there is a man-child conceived. Let the day be darkness, let not the Most High regard it from above, neither let the light shine upon it. Let darkness and the shadow of death stain it, let a cloud dwell upon it, let the blackness of the day terrify it. Because remember, he's in the bitterness of his soul right now. Okay, so he's basically, well, as we're about to read, speaking in terms of it would have been better for him not to have been born. It says here, as for the night, let the darkness seize upon it, let it not be joined unto the days of the year. Let it not come into the number of months. So the day that he was born should just be erased. It should just be erased. All right. Verse 7, it says, lo, let that night be solitary. Let no joyful voice come therein. So as we read on down, he's basically going into how much he wishes he wasn't born, right? So let's jump down to the point, which is in verse, let's see, 11. He says, this is Job speaking. Why died I not from the womb? Why did I not give up the ghost when I came out of the belly? All right. So why didn't I just die when I was born? You know, why did I have to live? It says, why did the knees prevent me? Or why the breasts that I should suck? For now should I have lain still and been quiet, like a stillborn. I should have slept, then had I been at rest, meaning that he should have just died and he would have been at rest. He wouldn't have been going through the grief that he is going through at the time of his speaking. It says here, verse 14, with kings and counselors of the earth, which built desolate places for themselves. So he's saying that why didn't he just die where he would have been at rest with kings and counselors of the earth, meaning people that have lived and died. All right, it says here, or with princes that had gold, who filled their houses with silver. Or as a hidden untimely birth, I had not been, as infants which never saw light. There the wicked cease from troubling, and there the weary be at rest. So RIP. So where is Job talking about? Job is talking about the spirit world. He's saying it had been better if I died and I was just in the spirit world, because over there everybody's just at rest. Okay, there the wicked cease from troubling. So you a wicked Edomite on the earth, you a demon on the earth, you doing whatever wickedness on the earth. In the spirit world, we don't play that. That does not go on in the spirit world. Everybody is in order. Okay, so there the wicked cease from troubling, and there the weary be at rest. So whatever toils and labors you go through here on the earth, when you die and your spirit goes back to the spirit world, it's rest. That's why they have the term rest in peace. It says here, verse 18, there the prisoners rest together. They hear not the voice of the oppressor. Because ain't nobody going to be telling you, hey, you know what I'm saying, you roll call, or yo, get your ass out here, come and do this work. It says, verse 19, the small and great are there, and the servant is free from his master. So Job is describing the spirit world. And why did I bring this out? Because we first talked about what happens when you're on the earth. Then we spoke about what happens when you die. Your spirit goes to the spirit world, and your body goes down to the earth. But when you go to the spirit world, it's you're there, all right, and it's rest. But what else is it in the spirit world? Now we're gonna get to the interesting parts, because now we're gonna talk about hell and reincarnation. How does that fit in here? Well, hell, people that teach hell is a real place that exists, they'll say that it's somewhere you go after you die. We all agree that when we're dealing with hell and reincarnation, we know these are things that happen after you die. So now let's go through the scriptures and see, does hell actually fit in here somewhere? We know so far you die, you go to the spirit world, but what happens then? Hold on one second. So the next precept we're going to deal with is in the Apocrypha, in the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 14, verse 35. All right, 35. So this is Ezra speaking, and the Spirit of the Lord is on him. Because at this point, this is when Ezra is recapping all the things that have happened from creation up until that present time. Because at this time, the Babylonians had, basically seized Jerusalem, and the temple was burnt, the scrolls and all of that was burnt. So Ezra prayed for the Lord to put the Spirit on him to be able to basically recall that. And that's why he called all those men, the ones that he picked to come and write what he was writing. So Ezra is in the Spirit at this point, and he makes this statement, 2nd Ezra 14 and 35, for after death shall the judgment come. Hold on a second. So let's deal with that. So you're going to have death. So he said, after death shall the judgment come. Right? Well, in the scriptures, we don't have an E in there, but other spellings you have an E in there, right? But after death shall the judgment come. It says, when we shall live again. So hold up. Right? If we're following what Ezra is saying in here, he said after death,